Celtic 3, Rangers 1, AET. A hell of a match, a hell of a result, a hell of a hoarse voice for me today. Yes, I enjoyed myself very much last night. The good news, though, of course, is that Scott is here with his perfect voice to save the day. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. My classical training hasn't paid off.
Dear oh dear, everyone. Hopefully you can all forgive us for being quite hoarse today. We had a hell of a night last night. We enjoyed ourselves very much. I dare say a number of you watching this will maybe have hoarse voices this morning, so you can hopefully sympathise with us. It was a fun night at Turf Bar, home of the Melbourne #1 Celtic Supporters Club. A good crowd in despite the game finishing, close to 4 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
So it was fun stuff. We even got a photo around about that time, Scott. It was a fun night.
Yeah, it was a great night, and a big thank you to Turf for putting us on, because they have to go through a lot of hoops to even be allowed to open in that time period on a Monday morning, and then of course the staff who have got to stay up for us hooligans. So brilliant night. We had a lot of people from all over the place, because that's the sort of weekend it's been in Melbourne. We had people from Perth, we had fans in from Sydney, we had even one from Hong Kong, who is a member of the CSC up there. So ni hao to all our friends in Hong Kong.
Yeah, it was really fun stuff. Listen, big thanks to Practical CBT. They've got an October deal on the go at the moment, which means you can get a 14-day free trial. Also, the 12-week men's mental health fitness programme is on special offer, £25 for Celtic AM viewers and listeners rather than the usual £50. So get involved with them. Also, everyone, we are going for 19,000 subscribers now. So if you've just come across the channel, aren't yet subscribed, please consider clicking that button and make me feel a little bit better today. Right, enough chat about us. Let's talk about a pretty cool game yesterday. I mean, most important thing, obviously, with these derbies from our point of view is that Celtic win and everything else is secondary to that. I do think it's worth saying that it was a brilliant game, especially how, the first one this season had been such a horrendous match. I thought it was a genuinely, gripping game for the neutral. And I guess for everyone else in terms of the chances in the match, the talking points. We're going to have to record for the next 3 hours to cover everything, Scott. But we even had Rangers writing to the SFA again. So I don't even know where you even start after a game like that.
I think we can start with the intensity. So that's clearly a benefit from the change. Everyone's got something to prove, but hearing a lot of comments from players, they've got a renewed sense of belief, and that's coming out on the pitch, and you love to see it. This is football the Celtic way, and they really went at Rangers from the off. Didn't really give them a look in that first half. You're always going to have the odd chance, but I think there was only one real gilt-edged one for them. But I think the story for us was the opportunities we were creating, and just need someone to get on the end of one or two of those, and that could have been over at halftime.
Yeah, I just thought, I watched the game back earlier, and I just thought first half, I thought Celtic were excellent in that first half, and it was like everything that I had personally, and I know a lot of people feel the same, would wanted to see in these derby matches, but hadn't seen in the recent derby matches. We were aggressive, we were first to second balls, we were direct at times. I found it glorious seeing our centre backs, Trusty and Scales, playing forward with the ball, and a couple of occasions both of them kind of ran into space in the first half and just kind of dragged the team forward, and players getting stuck in as well. We'll obviously come to the main talking points, but I love Dyson Maida's reaction when Asgard, has that head. It's not even a tackle, that terrible kind of rash moment on Ralston, and Dyson Maida, who people are saying's kind of been out the door, and he said that himself, that he kind of expected to leave in the summer, and at the best of times is a very reserved figure. It takes a lot to get a reaction out of Dyson, but he was getting fired in, and McGregor and Johnny Kenny was excellent, and Sriracha, who I just really like, and Tony Ralston, who we all know to an extent has his limitations, but he just getting fired in, and it's just things we badly lacked in the recent derbies. And I know it's kind of simplistic to say that Celtic were just more up for it, but I do think that was a big part of the game. I also thought Rangers looked extremely nervous in that first half. I think it all started from the centre-back Giga, who had a horrendous game, and I think is a bit of a nightmare of a player generally. He lets the ball roll over his foot early on. You remember the one that Tenekti runs onto, it doesn't really come to anything, but I just felt from that point that they were just incredibly nervous, and you could kind of tell in the stands that their fans weren't particularly happy about how they were playing, and I felt that gave us confidence as well, but we made them nervous. But yeah, I just thought it was so much better, and I don't think we get that performance if Brendan Rodgers is in charge. I just think Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney have given the team a fresh lease of life. There's obviously still massive issues there with certain positions and the depth and stuff like that, but the players are mucking in at the moment, and I think that was really important.
Yeah, I think it's good to highlight Maeda's efforts. That's the best he's played all year, and he helped force that pressure on that fragile back three that they wanted to play out from. He was causing them all kinds of mischief. He was, making them either overhit or underhit passes. That, our urgency created their nervousness. And I loved seeing him going in for Ralston. Now, it's not something you often see from Japanese players, is that fiery, that physical nature of it. But he didn't like it as his teammate, but B, he was prepared to go in as well. And that's the buy-in that we haven't seen from Celtic all year. So I was really happy. Like that, I thought Maeda was excellent. It starts up front for me today. Tenekti was causing him issues on the left to the point where that, again, another team that feels they have to double team Tenekti to try and nullify him, creates an opportunity for someone else. I thought Engels was huge today. His delivery overall was brilliant, and leads to the Johnny Kenny goal from the corner. So I saw Callum McGregor probably played with a renewed vigour that we haven't seen this year too. And I'm talking this year as in since Bayern, it hasn't been there. And I kept thinking of a term I heard in some commentary a couple of years ago in the Energy is where, I think it was that Wednesday night game, we played Rangers at home, and he called someone a shite bag.
Barisic.
And that's it. And as the commentator who I'd seen somewhere described it hissing and spitting. But that's the attitude that we haven't had. Celtic wanted to go out there and bully them and dictate the play. And that was the biggest takeaway from me from these last two games in what has been an almost at times farcical week. And you can go either way with these things. You completely lose the plot, or you can respond like this, and that's brilliant.
Yeah, Maeda was excellent. Maeda was everywhere. As I say, I probably didn't appreciate at the time how good a game he had. He did good things with the ball, but probably more so without the ball. Just that running that it doesn't feel like we've seen as much of this season, but just the amount of times again he would come out of nowhere and chase down a Rangers player, and even if he didn't necessarily win the ball back, he was forcing them to go long, and then we were getting it back that way. I think it was my feeling on Monday when that Brendan Rodgers news broke, and it obviously wasn't good news, and I think Brendan Rodgers is a brilliant Celtic manager. I don't think it can be denied though that things had gone incredibly stale under Brendan Rodgers for a fair amount of time, and we were all feeling it, and it was my hope that when he left, that just literally having anyone else as a manager kind of taking that baggage that I think was clearly there, at the end of Brendan Rodgers' time and just having a fresh voice in the dugout or a couple of fresh voices in the dugout. I hope that would just spur us into life. And to be honest, that's exactly what we've seen over the past couple of games. As I repeat, I mean, we might have beaten Rangers with Brendan Rodgers in charge, maybe, but recent history would tell you, potentially not. Just amazing stuff. And come to all that, right? I think we've got 5 big talking points, Scott, and as I say, we could probably spend about 10 minutes on each. So let's just go through them. We might spend longer on some than others. The first one is the Raskin own goal that goes in. Very marginal. And again, I think, that could be offside. Again, I think I just question how accurate our technology is. How accurate are those lines? And also, is that at the exact moment that the ball leaves Nygren's foot? Is that enough to rule the goal out? I mean, as I say, he might be offside there. And obviously the line suggests he's offside, but I've just got question marks about just the accuracy of everything. And that's not in a, SFA Pro Rangers type way. I'm saying that across the board, just the kind of accuracy of VAR here. I just feel like there is nothing in that. And that's incredibly harsh to rule a goal out. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, going by that image, you can't tell that that's left the foot, because to my eye, that looks like it's on the boot. So surely it's like the next half a frame, which is important, and that could be enough for him to be onside, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also the angle. I think there should be a better angle. It's weird because I actually saw a better angle, but not with the lines drawn. So I don't know if it's just that camera angle that the lines are calibrated for. But anyway, that's fine. Okay. So I think there's another talking point. I think 23 minutes in, Cornelius, their Canadian centre back, has a really forceful challenge on Johnny Kenny. Johnny Kenny, it was funny because I was actually yelling abuse at Ralston at the time because I thought it was Ralston who dilly-dallied on the ball. Turns out that it was Johnny Kenny, so apologies to Anthony Ralston for that. But horrendous tackle from Cornelius, I think. I think he's over the ball. I think the studs go into, the ankle of Kenny. I thought it was a really messy and forceful tackle that could quite possibly have been a red card. I'm not sure if probably everyone won't agree with that. But I was surprised that wasn't spoken about more, and it's not going to be spoken about because we're going to be focusing on Rangers throwing the toys out the pram. But I thought that could have been a red card, that tackle.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's one of those 50-50 ones. If it doesn't get given, you could kind of understand it, but then if it does, you can't really argue with it either.
I think if it's given, it's not getting rescinded by VAR. No. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, feel free if you felt that it was a yellow, fair enough. I think some people maybe would, but I'm not saying it was a definite red, but I just thought it was a bit of a messy tackle. The Asgard one on Ralston is definitely a red card. I mean, that was I can't believe people are trying to downplay it as he was moving through, he had intent for the ball. You can see clearly there's a chance there where he could brace and contact will still happen, but he'll brace and he won't catch him like that. Or he can attempt to pull out. And it's quick, right? So, but if professional footballers, their minds move quick. There's a point there where he sees Ralston and leaves it in there and catches him badly. So that's a red all day. I don't care what Neil Lennon tries to say to downplay it and compare it to other incidents. That's an uncomparable incident. Studs up, it's in the hip thigh region, it tears his shorts, it cuts him up, it studs up all day. That's a red card. And that's not even, I reckon that'd be a red card in the old days as well. I don't buy this sort of narrative that was going around in this day and age. No, I reckon that's a red probably 9 times out of 10 in the old days too. Yeah, we don't need to spend any longer on that. That was a correct decision. Okay, so there's one right before halftime. I mean, this has all happened in the first half. It was mad stuff trying to keep on top of everything. Austin Trusty on Jack Butland. leaves his foot in. If anything, actually kind of moves his foot in and softly, I think it's fair to say. There's not much force here. But kicks Jack Butland on the head with his boot. And I thought Austin Trusty was very fortunate there. Again, I know this will be a divisive one. Some people, will make the point that there wasn't much force in it. I just thought it was a daft one from Trusty, who had a brilliant game. And this is the one, I was going to say, a bit of sympathy I've got for Rangers. I don't have any sympathy ever for Rangers, but I did feel this was one that, could have been looked at by VAR and could have been a red card. And I think it would have been the other way around. If that had been one of their centre backs, putting the boot in on Casper's head, you'd potentially be calling for it. So I thought we were, and Trusty in particular, was a bit fortunate there.
They really like showing the angle from the byline, but I think the best angle to see what his intent was is actually from the other side. And the ball doesn't come out, but he's anticipating that it may. So his intent isn't to injure the player. It's completely different to the Asgard one. His intent is not to injure or to strike the player, but it's to be there if that ball does spill out. And he is sliding towards him. It could bobble. You get half a touch, the ball comes out, and, an opportunity might be created. I can see why. I think in that one, the yellow card is justified. The calls for anything worse and the comparisons to Asgard, I think, is silly. But I was fine with the decision that was made there. Sure, he it's a feather touch. Let's be real about it. Yes, it's a foot on head, but it's a feather touch. The ball's contested. So, I think those losing sleep over that decision, they can lose sleep as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I reckon it could have been a red. Scott saying yellow. Scott gets the big 10 points for that one. We also had the Anthony Ralston penalty that's given. I thought it was pretty harsh. I mean, you're kind of questioning what Ralston's meant to do there. He's diving away from the ball. He also gets a bit of a nudge before. I don't think it's a foul, but in fact it's more than a nudge. It's a wee kind of push he gets. He kind of dives in front of the ball, but his hand or his arm, whatever it was, is tucked in. It was, as I say, I don't really know what else Ralston's meant to do there. The one thing I would say is that the SFA, I know from listening to Willie Collum, they put a lot of emphasis on the two words impact and consequence. And I think basically if a ball is heading towards goal, which that was, then the kind of mitigating factors are lessened a little bit. Like if that's heading towards goal and it strikes an arm, then they're probably going to give it. So it's a tough one, that. Again, you're probably claiming for it if it's up the other end, but I do think it was harsh on Rouse. Basically, and I'll get your thoughts, but basically my point is here, Rangers weren't harshly treated in this game, despite what this narrative that's going to be. And to be honest, the narrative after every single derby Celtic win and have won over the past 5 years has been that Rangers have been harshly treated in some regard, and it's the same again, and it's a total nonsense. There was loads of big decisions in the game yesterday. Some of them went for Celtic, some of them went against Celtic, and that's what we've just highlighted here. So I just find it, to be honest, it doesn't even get to me that much because all I care about is Celtic winning, but this just insistence on Rangers every time they lose a derby to blame the officials is pretty tiresome.
Yeah, if that was up the other end and it was given and then overturned, I'd get it. Looking at it, I thought it was incredibly harsh to begin with, and I sort of feel like Nick Walsh got talked into it because he didn't make that decision straight away.
Yeah.
Ralston does get contact, not a foul, and he is falling. Now, I read some rules on the way home. I wish I'd sort of screenshotted them. I might find them afterwards. And I've read that. I must have read that about 4 or 5 times and then looked at that incident and I go, that rule does not fit that incident. Like if his arm goes out, then of course that's going to be a penalty day. It's tucked in. He hasn't initiated the contact with the ball. He's falling. I mean, last I checked, you can block a shot.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in that ruling that suggests anything that Rouston did there what justified a penalty in that circumstance. Now they're all talking about he should have got a second yellow. There's no intent there to do anything.
Yeah, it has to
Like
be. Yeah.
I don't understand how there's so much time being spent on that unless what you want is to even it up 10 on 10. And I sort of felt like Nick Walsh wanted to affect the game that way anyway, the way he was refereeing that game. So, like it gets given. I look forward to the explanation.
Do they cover the League Cup and the VAR review? I think they'll probably have to.
I think they need to because that's a big one. Like
they could devote a whole episode to that game, though. Seriously, like there was. I mean, you could. They genuinely could because there was. We've covered them 5 or 6 major incidents. Because I'm just looking back because the one that reminds me of recently now is a bit different, but that late penalty we got at Kilmarnock, the one when Ian Atchell scored, and I know that was a deflected thing with Kelly, but their defender wasn't booked for that late on. So as you say,
and his arm was away; it was away from his body, and that seemed to be what they were pulling it up for. So even though it was deflected, his arm was not in a natural position, and then the deflection happens, it gets hit. It's completely different to this circumstance. Some clarity is much needed. They might have to do a special episode tomorrow, I think, because I don't think we can wait a month for that.
Yeah. Okay, we can leave the contentious officiating calls for now and leave them to the Rangers YouTube channels or whatever else, the BBC perhaps. Everyone, if you're buzzing after that semi-final win over Rangers and you want to keep yourself protected online, whether you're streaming the highlights abroad, checking in on Celtic Chat from anywhere in the world, or just keeping your data safe, NordVPN has you covered. It's fast, it's secure, and it genuinely helps support the channel when you sign up through our link, which is nordvpn.com/CelticAM. So get involved there. They've got like 30-day money-back guarantees, always big deals on as well. Link in the description as well. What happened to us in the second half? What do you think? Because it was all going so well. We're playing well. We even started the second half really well, I thought, right from kickoff to Nekti runs through. We're a man to the good. We're a goal to the good. And then what do you think happened?
I feel like we maybe started to play a bit safe. Whereas we were a bit swashbuckling in that first half, we sort of started to play within and under hitting passes or turning the ball over, not being especially adventurous either. We just couldn't seem to get past that sort of half, that centre third. The Rangers, I mean, credit to them in terms of play. They were playing a much more direct game in the second half. They lifted their intensity, and they started creating some chances. I mean, I think someone who probably I haven't heard enough about so far is Schmeichel's efforts stopping the goals. He looked like a renewed man today as well, but not for his efforts where he's making himself really large, looking like his dad or Oliver Kahn, and they make themselves really, really big, and they're just getting a toe on it or a fingertip. That game could have got out of control pretty quick, and it would have been interesting to see how we respond to a team that's a man down. But unfortunately, we concede that penalty, and we still had chances though, especially when Jamesy Forrest came on, where he nutmegs Raskin, gets the ball through to Osmond, and Osmond his shot saved. But
Hatate had a big one as well at right before normal time, skied it.
You know they're going to come at you. It's the nature of the fixture. And the last Derby was an anomaly. That's a rarity. So, that's all I've got to say about them.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I think Rangers probably had nothing to lose at one point as well, and they got a bit of a reaction and started to get a bit of joy. I felt that when they got their equaliser, we then kind of got back to dominating for the final 10 minutes of the match, as we said. I mean, the last, I think the last 5 or 6 minutes, including stoppage time of normal time, were, complete Celtic domination, and I think we're all feeling, we can win this here, and to the extent that even though we didn't get the winner in normal time, I felt pretty good going into extra time. I just felt, for me, like, see when you've got an extra man advantage and it's like do or die, just about to head into extra time, I'm always like most worried about us conceding a goal and not having enough time to go and, get back and somehow losing it that way. Like, I felt as long as we got through to extra time, we got a fresh 30 minutes against tiring legs with the extra man. Just moving the ball around the park, I felt that would be absolutely fine, and that's exactly how it played out. I think going into extra time we'd win 3 or 4-1, and if we'd taken a bit more care late on, we would probably got another goal. I thought subs were really good. James Forrest was just brilliant. I thought when he came on, created so much. He was strong, as you say. That nutmeg on Raskin was brilliant, and getting the head up, and he had another one late on where it was just kind of trademark James Forrest stuff. And I felt we got a fresh lease of life there as the game went on. Osmond came on as a sub and was excellent as well. Like, obviously he's getting the headlines for the clinching goal, but even other than that, I mean, he has a big chance before normal time where he should finish. He has the header, I think, at the start of extra time, just after it's gone 2-1, where Butland makes a really good save, but his movement was really good, and you're watching that, and it kind of goes along with what a lot of us have been saying in recent times. Where has he been all season? When you see him going into a derby like that and looking lively and quick and all of those things, and more than anything, just up for it, fearless as well. And we've not seen Osmond play a single minute before Wednesday night against Falkirk, and it's taken a change of manager. It'll be Sean Maloney's influence here, I think, rather than Martin O'Neill, in terms of actually putting Osmond into things. But yeah, like, we've not seen Osmond all season, and you wonder how many other players are around there that if we'd have just seen them a bit earlier, maybe we'd have been out of this a bit earlier. But yeah, I was delighted for Callum Osmond. Like, this is a guy who, as I say, a couple of weeks ago was playing for the B team, and is probably, I think he even admitted that he was kind of questioning a little bit what he'd done coming to us and wasn't playing, and now he scored would be his first ever professional senior goal in a derby at Hampden, right in front of the Celtic fans. Brilliant ball from Tierney, great movement. I saw someone saying online, very Kyogo-like goal, and I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. He did say post-game that the trust that's been put on him by Martin O'Neill has been a big factor, and he was questioning whether the move was the right one to make. He said that today was the best day of his life, and I think he's wrong for saying that, because I think there'll be better days ahead. But so far, like, he was putting himself about, you sort of felt, I saw a little bit like in the Falkirk game where he was getting around and sort of like, if this kid had had a few more games, maybe he's finishing off a chance or two that fell his way, but he took them today, or he took that chance today. It was a brilliant cross in from Tierney, and that was something that we saw from Tierney early on in the season, which had sort of dissipated over the last couple of weeks. But I thought Tierney was very good when he came on. That's Srirachi and Tierney, who starts, who comes on, is going to be an interesting predicament for other teams to have to adjust, because they are so different, but the results can be the same. So, it's a great, he really took that opportunity for goal there, and good on him. I hope that's the first of many. Well, the goal we had, that's the last goal, though. We haven't spoken about the captain's goal yet.
I was going to say the quality of the goals that we scored, because the first goal, the header, we've not even mentioned the header from Kenny. That's a brilliant header. Great ball in from Engels, but what I heard of that is the third goal, Osmond, is a really well worked goal as well. I love those kind of goals, especially at Hampden. We seem to score a lot of them. But yeah, that McGregor goal, what a moment. Butland should do better, but again, I just feel like, would we have seen that before? Callum McGregor being that direct and getting the shot away? Maybe last season we would have, but this season or this calendar year, would he maybe have just recycled that out to the wide line? Just very quickly, there was a really interesting moment. It's at the end of the first half where Tenecti gets the ball wide left and he's got space to run into on the left, but he checks back and plays a backwards pass, and Martin O'Neill goes mad on the touchline. He's just a few yards away from him, and the Mikes pick him up shouting, "Go that way." Maybe a few expletives in there as well, possibly. And I just think that's the change in a nutshell. Like, under Brendan Rodgers, he would probably have been fairly happy with Tenecti just recycling the ball and us moving it side to side, the horseshoe of death, etc. Whereas it just feels like the shackles have been taken off and it's like, let's be a lot more direct. So I found that a really interesting moment. But yeah, talking about McGregor, that's possibly what we saw there. Just Callum McGregor going for it and giving us another huge moment at Hampden.
I'm glad that opportunity fell his way and he was able to take it too. Because when we were playing at our best at the start of last season, he was taking those shots and he was getting them. So it was good to see that he had the confidence today to just go for it and unleashed an absolute rocket that blew the roof off the old turf bar when that went in, as you can attest. But like you said, all the goals today were like high quality goals. That Engels cross from the corner to the top of the 6-yard box there, and then for Kenny to get his head around it and put it in the opposite corner from where he is, like, that's a quality goal, and good on him too. Like, we're seeing guys that we've been maligning, rightly or wrongly, starting to step up, and we're starting to see maybe what the scouting department or others saw in these players. So hopefully that also has the effect that the guys that aren't in the match day squad, they're seeing this too, and it improves their football. And we start seeing a bit of them as we get through the grind of December and January.
Yeah, so magic moments. So just a few other wee things that I wanted to mention that really shouldn't go unnoticed. You're right to bring up Kasper Schmeichel, who had a number of big moments and was just a real leader, I felt, as well, even when we go back to the Stramash after the Asgard thing on Ralston, and Schmeichel was the one pulling players away and going, we don't need to get sucked into this. They're the ones that have lost their man here. Credit to Paul Kennedy who messaged me, and I did have this written down already, but I need to credit Paul as well, just saying Liam Scales' brilliant tackle on Gassama, 78 minutes. Remember it? Yeah,
that is some timing on that, because that's a penalty if he misses, right? And then you've got Schmeichel where he times that hand flick to get the ball. Another one that could have been a penalty if he misses that ball and he brings him down. That's a penalty all day. So yeah, some really brilliant efforts. I thought our central defense was brilliant today too. Saw Austin Trusty win man of the match. He ran himself into the ground. Sirachi ran himself into the ground till they couldn't run anymore, and that's all you can ask for, I think.
Yeah, I thought Martin O'Neill summed it up when he said in his, and I don't know if you've seen it, but the Premier Sports interview he did where they dragged him in with all the pundits, and he was in great form, but he gave this long answer about the game and how he felt and all that, and he kind of stopped himself in his kind of own tracks and said, "We won." And I just felt, for me, that summed it up. Like, I know there's a lot of deeper things going on at Celtic right now, and we all care about the team and we all care about the club, and we're not particularly happy with how either are going at the moment. And that's the big picture, and there's so much still to be sorted out with that. But like, for me, yesterday, while that game was going on, and I know there was a lot of frustration, and some of my pals, I was having fiery debates with them after a few beers, obviously, and they're really not happy with how that second half went. My feeling was that it was just about winning yesterday, and Celtic found a way to win. We know things aren't perfect at the moment. This is not a particularly great Celtic team. I mean, we love them at the moment, but like, our two strikers yesterday were Johnny Kenny and Callum Osmond, and they're both pretty unproven. Like, that's where we're at the moment, and we're playing Dyson on the right, and we're missing Carter Vickers and Ralston's playing at right back. Like, we're a bit kind of all over the place at the moment, but we won, and that was the main thing. And like Martin O'Neill, who knows how much longer he's going to be with us. We still obviously need a permanent manager, and we need to take this seriously, and we can't, in my opinion, get suckered into the whole, like, okay, let's give them the rest of the season or anything like that. Like, I think we need to not get sentimental about this. We need to, because Martin O'Neill's not sentimental in any way. We need to, thank Martin O'Neill for what he's doing, but still obviously kind of look at getting obviously a younger coach. But Martin O'Neill, like, talk about just enhancing your legacy. I didn't feel that when he came back to us at such short notice that he could harm that legacy, because it's such an amazing legacy. But I think already he's enhanced it. I mean, he's 73 years old. That wasn't a testimonial yesterday. He's not just back for like a jaunt. That was a cup semi-final against Rangers at Hampden, like the good old days. And Martin O'Neill did it for us again. And I mean, I miss the kind of the Martin O'Neill days 20 years ago. And I know it's not his team anymore. It's not Larsson and Sutton and Hartson and Lennon and Petrov and McNamara and all of these guys. But it's still Martin O'Neill, and it's still part of his Celtic story. And I just find it like enthralling, like that he's back all these years later. And 4 days after returning, he's beaten them again. Like, it's mad. It's totally mad, but I'm so kind of happy that I've been able to be part of that this time, because I never got the Martin O'Neill era the first time, but magic stuff. I love the guy so much.
Yeah, I think you'll find Martin O'Neill's 94 years of age now after that game. Yeah, it's a trip, right? I was so happy the first time around when he came from Leicester. I felt like, because I'd sort of watched the Prem back then, and I knew he was a good manager, and I thought he was a perfect fit after all the troubles Celtic were having then. And he's the catalyst for this quarter of a century of domination that we've had the joy of experiencing. And he started that. So to see him again now, it's a different kind of joy. I like his humor, but I like the style of play more. Because it's different, but it's not too dissimilar. Like, the ethos is still the same. So you get the ball, you just go forward, you create chances. It's interesting. He also said of Callum Osman that he's got to watch more Henrik Larsson, about, taking on the big moments, holding on to the ball, and taking your shot. So hopefully young Callum Osman takes that advice, because you couldn't get a better teacher, I think. But yeah, it's mad for however long it lasts in this capacity. I think we just get to enjoy it. I think he's enjoying it too, which I think is the main thing, because sometimes you see, historical managers come back in an interim capacity at some big clubs and it doesn't sully their legacy or demean them, but like, it doesn't turn out. And I think what we'll see here is that it will turn out, because it's like we've got a whole new team again. It's really quite amazing hearing the players speak about, belief, trust in them. Like, it's like a fresh air has just breathed through the place, and now they can find themselves again. So it'll be interesting, like I said, to see what effect that has on the broader squad, guys that we're not seeing on a week-to-week basis, and when we have to dig deeper into the squad when it's a game every 3 days or whatever it is for 2 months. And I just hope that whoever does come in can instill that in the players as well. That's going to have to be a priority, because we got some talent there. We just haven't been able to see it because of whatever restriction was there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, just there's so much going on at the moment, but just enjoy Martin O'Neill being back and all of this stuff. Sorry, I've had to move on to my other camera because we've got that much chat that's been going on. We're nearly done here. The thing I wanted to mention as well, Rangers trying to play on when we kicked the ball out for Trusty's injury near the end. Gassama running. I don't think Sean Maloney was particularly happy about that.
Well, I'll choose my words carefully, but I mean, they're a classless bunch, right? So playing to to the expectations we have of them.
Yeah. So that's where we're at. It'll be St Mirren in the final, which should be interesting. Another opportunity for us to win another trophy. Will Martin O'Neill still be the manager at that stage? He did seem to suggest, I don't know how much he actually knows, but he did seem to suggest that maybe the international break would be the kind of time when we'd look at a new manager. I'm going to revisit this topic on tomorrow's video and round up whatever else is going on. But yeah, Scott, what a night. We can rest our voices now. Give us your final thoughts and we'll head off.
I did get my tips right. So my pre-season tips are a shambles. I think most of ours are. But I did say to you on Friday after recording that I thought we'd play St Mirren. And I did say that we were going to win 3-1. So on that note, I'm going to leave on a high because I never get anything right, let's be honest.
Yeah. Technically 1-1 after,
that was
90
not the
minutes,
stipulation, my friend. Go back and watch the video.
Okay, right. We're going to head off, everyone, but I'm sure it'll be a lively comment section today. But yeah, a lot of tough times recently. So nice, really, really nice just to beat them again yesterday. And let's move forward. Yeah, a lot more to come this week. We've got the manager hunt going on. We'll have more fallout, mainly from across the city, from the derby. And we have a Europa League game in Denmark on Thursday. Kasper Schmeichel going back to his homeland. So yeah, lots to get stuck into. Please stick with the channel as we go for 19,000 subscribers. I'll chat to you tomorrow.